So let's talk about flying and being fat because that's real amusing. Okay, as since I obviously have had to fly a few times to do appearances at like VidCon, the PlayStation Experience, the Video Game Awards, let's stuff like that. We're flying more than ever, and I hate it. Obviously, I mean it's unbearable. Airports are too big for me. Obviously, the seats are too small. I have to purchase two seats, obviously, so that I'm not making anybody else uncomfortable. It's a pain in the ass, but every time I go through security, I make a TSA agent's life a living hell because the scanner that they use, they can't see through certain areas of my body, specifically the stomach portion.
Good.
There's a guy in the back at the TSA. She can't take it, Captain. We're giving her all she's got. It's like more.
So every time I step out of that X-ray machine, some poor guy has to go digging to look for. I don't know what he's expecting to find. And they always, every time, 99 times
Please
out
tell
of
me
100,
something involving your butthole happens.
it involves my penis every time. They're surprised when they find it. Like they're not expecting one. And then like there's my balls in their hands. And then they, like a couple of guys didn't know what that was. So they really got in there. And then I'm like, do I need to turn my head and cough, dude? Like, what?
You have a small.
What kind of? Is this a penis? Yes, it's a penis, man. Is this testicles? Yes. Are you sure it's not a gun, sir? No, I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's fired off a couple times, and then and then you're in the special room.
This bag seems to be holding more than 3 ounces of fluid.
But every time, man, I come out of that machine and I just directly apologize to the guy on the other side of the machine. I'm like, I'm real sorry for this, dude. And he's like, oh, don't be. It's not a big deal. You know that guy goes home and just calls his therapist and says, I had to check in another fatty today.
So you need 2 tickets.
Right, I need 2 tickets.
Now, would one first class ticket do the trick?
We got bumped up to first class, and it depends on the size of the plane. The one time we got bumped up to first class, it was awesome. It was perfectly comfortable. I'm in one seat, my wife's in the other. It's just wonderful. It's beautiful. The other time, the first time I looked at a first class seat, if the plane is pretty small, then it's going to be too narrow, and part of me is going to be in the aisle, and that's going to make it difficult for the stewardess, and I don't want to do that for her. It's bad enough that I'm even on the plane for some people, so I don't want any part of me sticking out in the aisle. I'd rather eat the cost, every time.
So Wings went to the Billionaire Bash, the Billionaire Challenge. I forget what it was called. A couple of years ago, we did this thing, and they flew Wings out, and he had a terrible flight experience. He hated it. So the plane was full.
Oh,
he got one ticket. He needed 2.
Right.
But he had never flown before, so he didn't know about the whole 2-ticket thing. And the guy next to him gave him a hard time. Now, it wasn't completely unjustified, I guess.
Right.
But whatever he did or said really hurt Wings' feelings. And I remember it. So I was out there with him and stuff. And he wanted to drive home. And he felt super uncomfortable. I think part of it was never having left home before. But he was like, he's like, it's weighing over me. 24/7, I know I have to fly home somehow. I have to get home. This is horrible. Like, it was this miserable thing. And, the flight really took it out of him. He hated it. He full on hated it as much as you can hate something.
He must have if he's considering getting a rental going from L.A. to South Carolina.
He might not have known the scope of what he was talking about, right?
Maybe not the financial scope, but surely he knows how wide the fucking United States is.
Surely.
I mean, they do have maps.
No, but I mean, in all seriousness,
Not in South Carolina.
If you told me that, he didn't really have a grasp on how many hours a drive that was, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds reasonable. I don't think he'd ever left his, town, county, whatever. Like he had never traveled anywhere. He might not really get how far away California is.
It's an undertaking for those of you who are uninitiated. It takes a couple of days, and it's awful. It's awful. I've driven. The farthest I've driven is to. I know I've driven to Phoenix, Arizona.
How far is that from you? Is that like 24 hours of driving?
It was broken up across like 3 days because it was kind of a multi-leg trip. We were going to different places and doing different things, but it was like 5 days of total driving, I think. I flew for half of it. Like I flew from Atlanta into Albuquerque, but I drove on the way back. and that was not pleasant.
Furthest I've driven is Michigan. I forget the town exactly. Prince or something. It was right near Kalamazoo. I knew that.
Oh, so you're up in the UP? That's where my wife is from. I love that area.
Is Kalamazoo's not UP?
Is that not? Okay, never mind.
No, it's between.
I don't know the UP that well. I know Escanaba. I know like Gladstone. I know Marquette, but I don't really know.
It's right
I don't
between
know
Chicago
Central.
and Toledo.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Hey, did you want your topic?
Oh, yeah.